Glory to the Horde. And in this video, we're going to bring glory to Durotan with the creation of Thrall from Warcraft lore, and the tribe his father hails from, the Frostwolf Clan. Now, of course, Thrall was around after the tribe was gone and only interacted with them within a specific expansion of WoW, but we're going to have fun with this either way. We'll be creating an orc race that relies heavily on nature and astral magic affinities to help give us a bit of a taste into the shamanistic ways of the orcs in Warcraft. Remember, you don't need to follow this guide word for word, as it's meant to mainly be a blueprint or guideline in helping to establish Thrall in your game of Age of Wonders 4. Like what you see, copy away. Want to make some improvements or modifications? Go for it. Please always make sure you're playing this game in a way you get the most fun out of it. Don't forget to check my guide playlist at the upper right corner for other faction builds I've got going. You can quickly navigate to any part of the video that interests you the most by using the chapters in both the timeline and the description. Also, if you've not yet picked up the game, you can use my link to my Nexus Store. Nexus gives you a Steam key directly from the developer, and it's a great way to support the channel, as well as my mini Australian Shepherd's tyrannical toy addiction. But lastly, don't forget to follow me on Twitch, where I'll be streaming this game as well as the new CK3 DLC. Let's get started here on creating Thrall and his Frostwolves in Age of Wonders 4. So jumping right into the form here, we're going to go with Orcoid. I think you probably guessed that. Oh, go back. Now for our body trait, we're going to go with wolf mounts. Now, I actually really like wolf mounts amongst all of the other mount options because Pack Hunter can be stacked up with a lot of really great things from nature that really allows us to pop off. Melee attacks deal 20% damage per friendly adjacent unit with Pack Hunter. So this is going to be your scouts, it's going to be your furies, it's going to be any unit that is on a mount. This includes your character, so you get a lot of really good bonuses here. Enfeebling Howl is really good too because it applies weakened, and it'll do damage to enemies in a 1 hex around the caster. And you start with a white wolf, which is a tier 3 wolf mount. Now for our mind trait, you could really go with a lot of different things here. Overwhelm Tactics is really kind of the flavor of the month right now. A lot of people are going with that. Ferocious is a really good one too for dealing 40% damage via retaliation opportunity attacks. But when I think of Frostwolves, I think of a clan that's kind of like was in it to the bitter end, right? So I'm going Tenacious here. Damage penalties from casualties are halved. This is still very strong because as you lose units within the army, or within the formation, or models within the formation, they still retain a lot of damage capability. And if you go down the route of super growth, this only makes them stronger because you have less of a damage fall off. So I do very much like Tenacious. We're going to go ahead and select here into the Barbarian culture. Now keep in mind, whenever you select a mount choice, you oftentimes will mount things that would otherwise not be mounted. So for High, for example, this is a unit that is not mounted normally. So for Barbarians, we are pretty much going to have the exact same amount of mounts, our Fury right here and our Scout right here, but still nonetheless, just wanted to point that out. If you do go with any mount options or different cultures for any of these builds, it's important to note. Now for our society traits, I've gone with, well, let me unselect these. We're going to go with Adept Settlers. Now, we remember the Genesis story in Warcraft 3, right, with Thrall, where he basically brings his people to Kalimdor and sets up Durotar, because Durotan's his dad. So that's what we're going to be doing here, is kind of taking that kind of page from the book. And it's also a really good one. An increase to city cap. Founding cities cost 25% less Imperium. Newly founded cities get 1 pop. And capital cities start with an additional pop. It's a really, really good one. Another option here is Fabled Hunters. This is good for your range units and skirmisher units. And when you're playing Barbarians, you have 3 ranged units and or skirmish units. This is a skirmish unit right there. That is a range unit because it's a scout, and your Fury is a very good tier 2 range unit. So if you don't want to go Adept Settlers, then Fabled Hunters is a really, really, really good one here. So either one of those will do you good. So I'm going to go with Adept Settlers. And then for casting, we're going to go with with Astral, we're going to go Ancient Wise Ones. Another option here is Gifted Casters if you want to lean a little bit heavier into combat and world map casting points. Combat spells do cost a little bit less mana. So this is also a really, really good one, and you start with an extra combat spell. I just chose Ancient Wise Ones because I've never done it and I wanted to see how it plays out. When a tome is unlocked, a random skill from that tome costs minus 60% knowledge. This allows you to tech up much faster. And why I like this one too is because it allows you to splash into a lot of different other tome researches a little bit quicker. If you can get a bit of an edge up on your knowledge outcome's not a word. Well, it is, not in the sense I'm trying to think of though. A little bit of a jump up on your knowledge output. This is really good, and also one random research skill is already unlocked, so you're just already one step ahead of your enemy. So I like this one a lot, especially because if I want to go into pyromancy, which is not the predominant focus of what we're going to be looking at, it's a really nice little way to just kind of splash here and there into different tomes. So the first tome we're going to go with is Tome of Evocation here, because I just like all of the lightning themes here. It makes a lot of sense to me from this perspective. You could jump right into nature if you wanted. Warding is also an option, but I think it kind of steps away a little bit. Where is nature? Roots is really good for all the poison things, and healing. Healing is a big thing that I think I really like nature for, as far as how I played a shaman in WoW and how that kind of character kind of comes to the fore. There's a lot of healing. There's a lot of different elements we're taking advantage of, and totems. Totems are in nature here, so it's nice to take advantage of that. Another tertiary one you can go for is Tome of Pyromancy, which is, you know, it's fire. I'd rather just go with Evocation though, personally. I think not many people like this one as compared to Pyromancy, but screw it, who cares? We're not min-maxing, we're having fun. So you can go Champion or Wizard King at this route. I like Champion because I like the aesthetic options here, and I actually really like the bonuses for the character. And here we have Thrall in the flesh. So what I've done here, you can take a look at my sliders. I didn't go with a big burly, like huge like jacked Thrall. I went with a little bit leaner of one, kind of his older age version, Thrall the Shaman. Now, unfortunately too, I can't go with a hairstyle that brings two huge braids out from underneath his hood. So you can go with this beard option. Another beard option is just to get him one massive braid, but I kind of like the two smaller braids. It felt a little bit more on brand for me. Went with black hair all the way around. Gave him some nice cool tealish green eyes, nice kind of set that flavor in, nice and juicy like. And we've got some good heads here. This is a little too, those are a little too bestial for me, but this is that's perfect. You could even go a little more Grom Hellscream if you want, a little with that action, but I think this is pretty on point for him as well. And again, for outfits here, you could go no helmet too and go more of that like early Warcraft 3 Thrall if you so wish. Again, we tried to get more of a shamanistic looking one. You can jump into Wizard King, and there are options to build him out like that, but I think that this kind of scratches that itch for me. Now armor too, I went with the black armor. You can go to with like a darker gray here, maybe something like this, but Warcraft 3 style is that really cool black color. Now unfortunately I can't have him be mutually exclusive from the actual banner color, and I do not have the Pantheon unlock for a wolf. Keep that in mind, that there is a Pantheon unlock for the wolf head. I don't have it. So I definitely have gone with a... I think it's supposed to be a wolf, but it definitely looks like a fox. It definitely looks like a fox. And that's a bear. So that's what we've gone with here. Light blue color with a white emblem, as that is the Frostwolf brand there. And we press select and we go... first name Thrall. We've gone with a custom title. You do this, press this little pencil. There you go, make a custom title. Make him the War Chief Thrall. Now I put last name Son of Durotan. You don't need to do that. Race name is Frostwolf Clan. So once you've done that, you're good to go. You can go ahead and press onward and jump into the game. Let's talk about some tomes. And just quickly to point out, here would be your wolf head. You'd put 2 points into your Pantheon on the Barbaric Warlord banner icon just to get that wolf head, but just wanted to point it out for those that really want it. I didn't talk about this in character creation, but I would have gone with the orb. Going back and forth multiple times trying to set up the video, I did not select it properly, but I definitely would go with Blight Orb for him, as the focus for him is going to predominantly be on casting. Now you can of course go with an axe and shield. There's nothing wrong with that. It just sets up your first skill, which is going to be, well, your first skill is fighting if you choose this. If you choose this setup. Oh, I'm sorry, it's vigor. It's vigor. It's fighting if you choose the great axe. But from here, I would definitely go into battle magic. And because we're setting up Thrall in specific, I'm going down this. Usually, I don't talk about these things. I just kind of let you do your own stuff. But this is where I would go into a lot of the evokers and stuff like that. Frost, fire, lightning, especially. And you want to get stuff like Channel Power, magic attacks gain 80% damage increase. Distant Evocation is a really, really good one you definitely want to focus on, because it makes your magic attacks have an increased range. And why that's important is that Lightning Evoker goes from a 6-tile range to now a 7-tile range, which is much better, far easier to get off, because it doesn't really do a ton of damage out the gate. Also, you want to get stuff that's going to increase your damage, like Arcane Strength, because a lot of the battle magic capabilities are very weak to start off with. You really need to add in a lot of layers of strength from them, from some of your tomes and whatnot. That's where astral magic is going to come in to really help give you a little bit of a boost there. Weaver helps you out with refreshing all of your abilities and cooldowns as well, which is really, really, really cool. But just kind of wanted to talk really quickly about setting up your actual Thrall. Going with our tomb selections here. So the fair tome selections, man, I'm gonna say tomb all the time. Our first one here is gonna be Tome of Evocation for my choice. Now, here's where you kind of get to make a choice. Do you want to jump exclusively into Astral and Nature? And I think that that's probably the best call. If you really want to spice out to another direction at the start, you can go with Pyromancy. The reason I don't think you should go with Pyromancy is you get Lightning Focus, which is Battle Mage and Support unit, and Lightning Blades, which is all of your melee attack units. Does not include your range units, so that's something to consider. Pyromancy, on the other hand, that's a Chaos Affinity, does have Searing Blades, and then gives you Fire Arrows for your Furies, which is great. You get Immolate and Ignite, which are two cool abilities, and Pyromancers. All fun stuff across the board. The reason I think you should go for Tome of the Rock, if you want to splash away from those other two, is because you get Stone Skin, which is a nice buff, but mainly Earth Skin here, which gives you just innate defensive capabilities. So I think it kind of differs itself from the other two tomes, which are purely offensive unit enhancements or race transformations, and this gives you the ability to give minor race transformation right out the gate. You get Rock Walk, so you can go on rocky surfaces a little bit better, and you get defense. I think it's a better play when it comes to that kind of splashing in a different direction. But outside of that, I would go with the Tome of Roots or the Tome of Beasts for our first step into nature. And I think it's going to come down to you as making the decision between, do you want to take that typical Frostwolf approach where you do have a very harmonious relationship with a lot of beasts? And honestly, Tome of Beasts is so good. Call of the Wild makes it so all of your animal and cav get bolstered defense and strengthened. That's going to apply to pretty much your entire army, for the exception, of course, of your infantry units. But your hero's going to benefit from this. Your Furies are going to benefit from this, and you're going to use your Furies a ton. So you get this in a cast on everyone across the map when you use it in combat. Animal Kinship also gives the entire army 10% damage and crit hit when adjacent to a friendly animal or cav unit, which they're going to be around in spades. Also, you get Pack Leader, which means your actual hero gets, he imbues Flanker and a 10% crit chance on cav and other animal units. You can see how this is going. And Marcus Prey is probably one of the best spells in the game as far as just an early, very low cost mana, high debuff spell. Gives 3 center defense and distracted, so every time they attack, they are being considered flanked for 1 turn. That's huge. That is absolutely huge. So Tome of Beasts is really strong if you want to go into that route. If you want to go more of that shamanistic, I'm trying to get some healing in type route, you'd go with Tome of Roots. Poison Blades and Poison Arrows does have an overlap with your Tome of Evocation, so consider those things. And the Herbalist is actually very good for a lot of really good expansion and mana income. So that's your tier 1. Moving into tier 2 here, I definitely think you want to choose between Tome of Scrying and Amplification. I think definitely I would go with Tome of Amplification here, because this is where I'm going to get better arrows finally for my Furies. I get a good Chain Lightning, which is what I really want. I get Spell Amplification, so it makes tactical spells deal 20% more damage, which is lovely. I get my first kind of quote-unquote totem, right? A amplification pylon, a stationary structure that deals damage and increases the damage of your spells by 20%, and you summon this onto the battlefield. Astral Blood for all my units, so they get Attunement Fortune, which increases crit hit when spells are cast. Amplify Minds for income here, and a further Frenzying for my support units. Tome of Scrying I think is like the min-max choice, because Guided Projectiles is stupid good. Ignore accuracy penalties from obscuring conditions caused by units in the way and certain terrain units. So you're always pretty much shooting as if you have unblocked line of sight. And Precognition, you get the same thing for your character as well. It's stupid good. After I got one of those tomes, god damn it, tomes, I would jump into the Tome of Fertility just to get a lot of healing if I didn't go that route. Blossom of Life is a nice good 2 hex 3 regen, and also Restore the Land is going to turn desolate terrain into fungus fields underground or grasslands above ground. And the Nymph is a really, really, really good summon unit. Into tier 3 here, I'm going to go with the Tome of Vigor, and this is going to give me super growth. So my orcs become those big, huge, burly Warcraft orcs that you see. You also get Totem of the Wild, which is again another totem here. Unleash the Beast, making all of my animals or calves just stupid strong in combat, but also they are going to have Berserk. Keep that in mind. And Power Beasts turns all your beasts into these huge monsters as well. And you get Animal Handler. So now your beasts, your animals and cav cannot be mind controlled, which is really getting it to status resistance. Back into Astral for tier 3, I go Tome of Teleportation. Tome of Summoning doesn't really fit the kind of plan I have laid out for this. The big thing here, of course, is, you know, phasing and doing all sorts of astral stuff, astral projections. It fits a little bit better than Tome of Summoning, in my opinion. And on top of it, you get a lot of really cool abilities. Like Mass Recall is really, really, really sick. So it's probably one of the strongest astral tomes. Moving into Tome 4, we would go with the Tome of Astral Convergence. Again, more astral stuff. I mean, dude, there's a whole entire portion of WoW Legion, right, where you spend this portion for the shaman, whatever the hell it's called, stronghold, is in the middle of the convergence of all these other elementals. So Arcane Maelstrom here, Astral Attunement, pass through for all of your units, which is really sick. Mana and knowledge per population. That's a little bit of a huge jump away. So I don't know if I'd go major race transformation here from the Tome of Astral Convergence. I would probably hold off on this and jump back into nature. Yeah, Tome of Paradise. Nature's Wrath is really good. I like Nature's Wrath because the Horn God is badass. But Tome of Paradise, again, to get a lot of healing and a lot of different things, but mainly Gaia's Chosen. I think that kind of fits this a little bit better. Of course, you know, you can go down the thought process of orcs being chaotic, as it does do in Warcraft, right? So you do have that when they go into the outer world, outer lands, whatever the hell it is, and they experience the chaos orcs, more or less. You can make that jump rather than going nature affinity. So if you don't want to pivot, if you don't want to go astral nature, going astral chaos is going to be just as fun and be really sick, especially when you give them that full chaos demonkin orc transformation, which would be really awesome. And then for our tier 5 tome, the choice here is between the Tome of the Nature Goddess and then the Tome for Astral of Archmage. I don't really like Archmage as far as the way that I'm looking at this in my mind's eye for the kind of my mind's eye. What am I going to do? Fucking I'm selling you gems too. You wanna put this Himalayan pink rock salt underneath your pillow and cure your head aches or whatever the hell I'm trying to say. But I go Tome of the Goddess of Nature. It just kind of fits a little bit better with the image of the shaman from Warcraft. This one's cool. All forests grant vision on world map. Force of Nature is a unit enchantment that's badass for crit chance and blight damage. Affects units types of animals, plants, and cav, which you're going to have tons of. And then Mass Rejuvenation here is really good. And you get Avatar of Nature. Base attacks have 60% chance of inflicting poison, decaying, weakened, or immobilized for X turns, whatever it is. So I really, really like that progression point for you. But again, guys, if you want to stick with nature, you definitely can. You can pivot this, like I said many, many times, pivot on over to Chaos, go into the Tome of the Chaos Lord, and you get the Summon the Baelor, and that's like kind of looks like the dude that Grom Hellscream kills, right? So you get plenty of fun options here to take different routes. I just kind of wanted to set up for you what a Thrall and a Frostwolf playthrough could look like with a heavy focus on both astral and nature affinities. But really take this all as a blueprint and approach this however you want. If you have any other suggestions for any other characters, go ahead and let me know. Some other ones that I've got coming out here are a Drow from the Forgotten Realms. So we're going to be doing Loth for that. Lolith, so you'll be able to see Lolith for the Drow. I've also got another one for Kael Thalas for the Blood Elves, using the mana vampire, mana leeches, whatever the special one is you get from the Pantheon. So those are two suggestions that I'm working on right now. If you have anyone other that you want to go ahead and make in the comment section below, by all means, go ahead and do it. But as always, thank you so much for watching here today. Don't forget to check out my video on advanced tips linked in the description and in the pinned comment there as well too, if you need some advanced tips to kind of help you get through some barriers here. But as always, have a good one and take care.